You'll find a lot of weird stuff at previous rental properties, especially on blinds. Like some of these idiots will put blinds and mount them in a way that actually prevents the windows from being opened. See that? So that little metal clip here that they installed hits this little lip of this window. Look, we got a good one. Doesn't hit. This window doesn't catch on the blinds, but there's something wrong with this window here. Just doesn't want to open right. It's really dirty. You can see that they used plastic tape previously trying to seal this window in, so they got some issues going on here. All this through here, this window was leaking, so instead of fixing it the right way, they just taped it shut so that it wasn't so drafty. So we need some repairs on this window anyway. One wouldn't think that they might miss some insulation in these weird areas, but all you have to do is shoot a thermal camera up there. You can see there's an obvious difference between the ceiling over here at 55 degrees and the ceiling over there about 51, 52 degrees. 3-4 degree temperature difference. Likely gonna mean that we need some more insulation in that area. Now my client really wants to make a reading area over there, so she wants to put a little bit of ladder up here, make this a little sitting area, and then put some shelves around here like a little reading nook. It might not be the safest thing in the world, but you know what? To each their own. You guys can do what you want with your house, just do it safe as possible. Temperature and pressure release valves on a water heater. So this thing is going to pop off if this thing builds up a lot of water pressure, a lot of water temperature, and it's going to shoot out here. Now when we look at these TPR discharge lines, they need to drain downwards because you don't want water to be sticking in this pipe after it drips a little bit, causing some rust or corrosion or some scale buildup in here. What that's gonna do is restrict that line. So when this thing does pop off at 100%, now you don't have that full size of pipe, you have a restricted pipe. So it's gonna cause more pressure back here. So we need to keep this thing draining downwards 100%. We can't have this little loop-de-loop coming up here like this, because the water, if you test this thing, it's going to drip in here. You're not going to be able to drain all of it, and whatever water is left in that pipe is going to leave some calcium deposits or whatever in here, causing rust, corrosion, possibly restricting this pipe. So this, it's kind of nitpicky, but it really does need to go all the way downhill. You can't have this little leg up like that. Just a little tip for you guys if you got to install a TPR valve. Always put this thing downward in rigid pipe going to the outside or to a hard surface floor, preferably outside. Now if we look at this flue exhaust up here, this is a really long length of flue pipe that doesn't have any bracing on it. So there's nothing holding that flue pipe to the wall other than where it's attached to the top, because we can just walk up to it, I can lift it up. It's not attached to the water heater. There's no supports in here. That's hardly holding on with the screws right there. And then a couple of these joints are taped. So we don't want to see the tape. We need to see the 3 screws in them. You know, those little screws right there. If you're taping them up and I can't find where the screws are, I got to write it up because it's not supported properly. But this is not really the safest way to do this here. You know, any broomstick or something could bump into this and all of a sudden this thing bumps down or falls down. And now you've got carbon monoxide and everything coming back into the house. Luckily, we've got some high and low combustion air vents right next to the water heater to help this thing breathe. That's gonna be good in case this does pop off, but I want to see this braced a little bit better. You know, it does have to have this slope, but anything could knock this thing out of the way. Just not the best idea in the world. They didn't put a drip leg on the water heater. They gave you ample length of flexible gas line here to hook this thing up. We don't need seismic bracing on our water heaters. It'd be a good thing if we did, but we don't need it. We do need a bollard, something preventing us from driving into the water heater, so we don't just come in at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday and right into the water heater. Another thing I'd like to see is the drain pan. This is kind of a half way of doing it. Not really the best way of doing it. This thing is loose, so it's going to drip right here anyway. It's going to come right out of the hole and drip onto here. The pan really is doing nothing. But you want to get this sealed. You want to get this pan maybe a little bit bigger than the water heater so you can actually see the bottom of the water heater if it starts rusting out. These pans limit my visibility down here, but you can think if this thing fills up full of water, where's the water going to go? Even if it comes out of this pipe properly, it's going to go right back onto the sheetrock. So what the hell is the point of the pan underneath the water heater? You need to run these pipes down, put it over here in the corner, run it down here, run it down here, run it down here, because look, that's concrete. You get water down here, these floors are sloped towards the door. So you get water down here, it's gonna pool up. If it does run anywhere, it's gonna run right out your garage door. Now I'm even gonna be using this carbon monoxide detector from Top Des today. Pretty cool looking device, but I haven't had any carbon monoxide leaks that I've been able to detect with it yet. Just kind of checking to make sure that we don't have any backdrafting, any issues with emissions or exhaust from the water heater right here at this point. You can tell we're getting a little bit of carbon monoxide there. It's not a whole bunch, but a little bit. See, I'm not worried about it right there. That's where it's supposed to be. I worry about it right here, which 0 is good. So we got everything going up that flue pipe. So we just verify some of these connections, making sure that nothing's leaking out, making sure that everything is sealed up properly so you're not getting carbon monoxide back into the house. And like I said, we're really happy that you've got combustion air vents right there. So if anything does leak out or does bleed into this room, at least you're going to get a little bit of ventilation. So it is connected to the 3rd zone right here. Got a lot of water coming out right by this tree, and it's just ponding up, and that's why we're getting all this moisture out here. It's because we've got all this surface water right here by this tree, so we're probably overwatering this. You can see the high water marks on the tree there itself, so this thing is saturated, and if we don't stop getting this tree wet, it's probably going to die. You can see after running it for just a few minutes, got a lot of water, and it's starting to run down into the gutter here on the side of the street. That needs to be fixed. You're going to have concrete problems, you're going to have plant problems. There's also an irrigation drip line for that tree that doesn't have the right head, so it's just shooting out all over the grass right there. And this ground is completely saturated. The sprinklers just turned off, but you're irrigating way too much moisture. It's causing this sidewalk to drop down a little bit. That's why it's sloping back to the house, and now it's going to even pond water more. You can see the water so thick right here, it's going out into the tree lawn. So the thing to do with side hills like this is set your timer to go off for about 5 minutes and then soak, and then 5 minutes more and soak. That way you don't have so much of this runoff. You only do it for a few minutes and let the ground kind of saturate, and then you turn the irrigation back on. But I wouldn't run this for more than 5-10 minutes at a time, or you're going to have most of that water is just going to keep running off onto that sidewalk. And you should probably adjust a couple of these heads too. It's going to slowly cause damage to the concrete over time. And look, we're getting water all the way over here, so you just turn it down. Turn this stuff down. That irrigation line is definitely not coming out of that tree, and that is with the 3rd line on. And this ground is saturated right here, so I think there's a irrigation head down there, but we're not getting any at this tree. There's actually one there, one there. Nothing. But you see the third valve set here. You've got one for the grass in the front, one for the grass in the back, and then you have one for the drip line. So you have 3 zones here, 3 zones total. And when I got here, this thing was on program A, which was only doing 1 and 2 zones. So I had to switch it down here to program B, which actually had a 3rd zone in it. See 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Go down to program B. Now you can pop up that 3rd. And then you can adjust it manually off and on. But I'm going to turn this thing off because we have got enough water at this house today. Got some signs of major overwatering over here, but I don't think it's from your property. These bushes are on the property line. And some more. Just keep the water on the grass. Be much better off.